Well, welcome. I'm at work, and the purple background you see is the branding color of my company, Unique Products. So it's very purple, if you can tell.
Looks kind of like a Jamberry office.
Yeah, I'm wondering, Jamberry, is that a franchise? That sounds a little familiar.
They're a nail wrap company that were started by three sisters and have exploded over the years.
L-Wrap, did you say?
Sorry, I'm eating dinner. Nail wraps, like fingernail wraps.
Oh, okay.
They have 300 plus designs and tons of products.
Jamberry, how about that? Well, welcome to week 3. Tonight we're going to be going over our discussion, and then after that we'll get into the assignment. How was the assignment for you this past week? Did you get the placement of the objects figured out in the timeline?
I think I had more issues trying to get it to move, and I think I kind of jumped the gun a week. But at the very beginning, I had issues with all of them showing up at the very beginning, but I figured it out. Like if I hid the view to where I wouldn't be able to view them, they didn't show up. But as soon as I unclicked that, then I had like 4 of the layers showing up on top of each other. So it looked like a jumbled mess. But I think I figured it out. I think I just had it placed in the wrong area to start it for the timeline for it to come in and then to go out. But I think it just needs tweaked with the animation. You actually have my file.
Yeah. Yep. I'll be looking at them later on tonight. Work on the grading. So, does my picture move when I move? I moved my picture on my screen. Does that move on your screen at all, or no?
The one that we're looking at right now that says digital animation?
Well, I don't know. I'm also doing a video. I was wondering if that moves around at all.
I can see your mouse, but I don't see anything else.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I see the digital animation slide, and I see up at the top the video and your video, but if like you're talking about this digital animation slide moving, then no, that does not move.
No,
or it has not moved.
No, the thing I moved is the video. There's probably a different screen where I'm showing up on the video right now.
Across the top.
Where?
You're up above the digital animation slide.
Oh, I see.
But you're on the right side if I do a full screen. If I do a smaller screen and exit full screen, you're up across the top. If I do a full screen, you're against the right-hand side.
Gotcha. So that's what I was wondering, if my video moved around, because I was moving it on my own screen.
Oh. Yeah, I can take it and I can move it.
No, I see.
Wherever I want
to. All right, so that is a different viewport view. Now, do you see the home page on our screen?
Yes.
All right, awesome. So the assignment or the overview of this week, as I mentioned, week 1, the storyboard, week 2, assets, and then week 3, we begin with the animations. And did you say that you jumped the gun and you've already started your animations?
Yes.
Oh, that's okay.
I did. Yeah.
That's fine. I just was curious, and that's all good. So, of the work that we did together, what did you find most helpful in doing your week 2 assignment?
honestly, knowing where to put the stuff in as far as the keyframes, where the start and the stop was,
Yeah.
that to me helped huge.
Oh, good.
Laying that out to where I could actually see it versus trying to do the math in my head and go, and that helped, I think, for me, huge.
Okay.
I don't know about others, but that helped to where I could go in, I can go, all right, I know that starts here and that stops there. There's my frame.
Good. Good. Yeah, it was really interesting how doing that for your animation was slightly different than doing that for the other student and her animation, Goldie. And because yours turned out one way, the dimensions left and right were a little bit different, top and left versus hers. So I'm glad that the way we did yours was still helpful to you.
Yeah, it helped huge. I mean, it's one of those I have to see things too when I'm doing stuff, so that helped to just see it to go, all right, that way, me working late at night, brain's not near as sharp. I may forget it 2 seconds after I say it.
Yeah.
So for me to actually see something helps huge.
Yeah, good. So did you adjust that spreadsheet? I'm just curious. Did you?
No, I didn't adjust it at all.
Okay. That's cool. That's fine. It worked as is for you with the numbers we used. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
I built mine based off of the numbers that we used, and it seemed to work out well. Like I said, once I did animation, I'm gonna have to figure out some tweaks to it, just because things are supposed to stop and they disappear. So that's just some tweaking I'm gonna have to do.
Gotcha. Well, I'm excited to look at your assignment and see how you did. And I'll just mention this again, anyone who's taking 2 classes, who's listening to this, needs to know that I give an extra day until Sunday night to turn in the assignment and assessment, just because I know that it's very difficult to do 2 classes and to have those assessments and assignments both due for both classes, both in one night. It's just a little difficult. So remember that. But I do need to mention that the discussion must be done by Saturday night just to avoid a late penalty. So I need to add that in there too. All right, so week 3, time to move and use motion, the animation aspect of your storyboard. So we'll be learning about the motion tweens that we've talked about. We can even talk about creating animations that are frame-by-frame animations. I'm just curious, thus far, what have you decided about the puppy in your animation and the 2 different poses that you had? I'm just curious. What have you decided at this point?
I know we had discussed it. I haven't really thought that far in advance yet.
That's cool. That's all right.
Sorry, my last week had been crazy, so I hadn't really thought about it since we discussed it the first week.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's totally fine. Yeah, you have had one busy week.
By the time it was all said and done, there was 54 hours in 7 days. And 3 of those were 12 to 17-hour days.
Oh,
but I think, the easiest thing I think to do would be to do like a tween in between with like a blackout and then the dog standing there. But I don't know. I think it would make more sense to see the movement, but that's going to be a frame-by-frame animation with the movement.
I'll just throw this out. And one thing, you can create a story such that the puppy goes off the screen and then comes back on in the standing pose.
Right.
And that would be one way of solving that problem of going from one to the next. Where the ball maybe continues to roll off the screen, then the puppy follows it, and I can't remember what was the good news that the puppy was jumping for. I can't remember the text, but
it's playing. I mean, you got it to where it comes on the screen chasing the ball, and then a lot of puppies, when they go to get something, they pounce on it. If you've ever watched like any animal at this point, when they are excited over something and they see something to play with, they come up and they pounce on it. Yeah. So that was the whole point of the up position, was it was getting ready to pounce on it and play.
Gotcha.
Kind of a fun aspect, I guess you can say.
Yeah. All right. So this assignment for this week does talk about adding any scripting to the UI, and sometimes students want to stop the animation and maybe restart it. At this point, I'm not totally focused on interactivity, because there's that actually work on interactivity in the second and third classes. So this is our very first class, and so animation is adequate for the scope of this assignment. I'll double check that as we read the assignment to make sure I'm being consistent with the curriculum that's in place here. So I will, if indeed that is requiring some interactivity, I will be very soft on that, just because that goes that's a little more advanced, and there are probably some students in this class who are working on their associate's degree and won't ever need to take those other classes. So, all right, so learning objectives for this week: understanding UI and best practices. Remember, UI is oftentimes thought of interactivity and the interaction that takes place. And in this context, it's really just the visual viewing rather than a manual interaction. Understand and apply actions for advanced animation techniques, control playback with actions and scripting, and then modify artwork to animate finished assets. So the course is talking about controlling playback with actions and scripting, and so that does sound like the scope of this week will take in creating a start and stop button. So let's look at the reading and tool that we have another lynda.com playlist to look at, and let's make sure that that's all working still. I need to set my view to student and then test that one more time. It knew that I was an instructor and needs for me to be a student when I go on this test button. This looks good.
One core concept that you'll use over.
So the items in the playlist here are introducing symbols. We'll talk again about symbols tonight. Comparing movie clips and graphic symbols, using movie clips in a project. Introducing buttons, so that will help with the start and stop. Adding buttons to a project. Timeline control. Linking to an external URL, which could be possible with the at the very end of your animation, you present a URL for your dog, your Humane Society, and that could be linkable where you click on it and links. Defining motion tweens, and then combining motion tweens and ActionScript. So the reason why we're talking about ActionScript is just the videos that are available to us with lynda.com are focused on just the ActionScript 3.0 project file. And they're still pertinent to having a very, very directly related to the HTML5 Canvas project file, but that's why we're leaning towards that at the beginning of our course. Motion tweening tips and tricks, defining shape, tweens, and nesting timelines. So one thing about this nesting timelines that I want to just mention is that as you create a multiple object animation, for example, let's say you were to create a car. Now, when a car is moving, if you just had the one car sitting there and the background moving behind it, it will appear like the car is moving. Well, let's say we add in the motion of the tires. So we would have spinning tires. So that motion would have its own timeline. In fact, the tire, depending if they're the same, they appear the same on the screen. You could reuse the same tire, but each moving object that can be brought in and used independently that becomes a symbol, it has its own timeline. If you want to animate everything in one timeline like you're doing, then you don't need to worry about so much about the motion of symbols within their own timeline. But when you create a symbol that's a movie clip, it has the capability of having its own timeline. And that's what this is talking about, nesting timelines. And so what that means is we can create a wheel and just double click on the wheel and have it rotate and go into the symbol editing, have it rotate, and that becomes a rotating wheel. And it has its own timeline with its own frames per second and its own length of the number of frames, and it's designed to just loop. And let's say we had it spin one time in 2 seconds. So we'd have 48 frames, or if we were 24 frames per second, we'd have 24 frames that this wheel would simply do a rotation. And that is packaged and is kept with that tire, with that wheel. And so now when you take this wheel, it's not just an image that you're moving, it's now a rotating wheel. So when we bring it out of the library, now this thing rotates, as you see the picture, but it's actually rotating. So this is what it means to nest timelines, because then we take that rotating wheel and we drop it on our primary stage, and our primary stage has its own timeline. And so it's kind of unusual because you've got these wheels, or each instance would have its own timeline, but the symbol itself, the wheel symbol itself, would be created and almost like it's its own mini animation. And so it's spinning on its own. It's doing 24 frames per second. It's looping and rotating, doing whatever animation we had it to do. And then we bring it into the stage of our other animation, and it does its rotating while the animation of the full primary stage is working. So that's what they mean about nesting timelines, that symbols can be brought in, symbols can be programmed to have their own animation, and then you can bring the animated symbol into your animation. So with yours, for example, your dog doesn't have its own tweening behavior other than in the context of that primary screen of the dog moving across the background. So the motion of that dog is pretty much going from left to right. So it's moving, and so it's a steady symbol in its own symbol. I mean, the symbol itself, the symbol of the dog, doesn't do anything within the context of the dog. So you take that, it's basically a stationary puppy, and in the context of the bigger primary animation, you're just moving that symbol from left to right. So it's not doing anything internally as far as being animated, but it is, on the external basis, that whole symbol is moving left to right in the context of the timeline, and the tweens are happening in the context of the primary timeline. So let's say you had a dog. Let's say you created you went into that dog. I say went into the dog go and double click on the symbol of the dog itself in the library. And let's say you decided to have the dog over, let's say, 28 frames or 24 frames or 48 frames. It would do a motion. And that motion it would like wiggle or wiggle its tail, or it would move its head, or do something with its arms, just come up with some sort of motion. Now, if you did that and you built it right into the timeline of the dog, then you would take this moving dog and you would drop it into your primary timeline. And it would be doing its thing, and you could also move it in the context of the primary timeline. You can move this moving dog. So the dog would do its movements because we trained it to do this one looping movement. So every 2 seconds he starts over and does his movement, and then 2 seconds later he starts over. And so he's kind of got his own little movement going on. And it's redundant. It's forever as long as we make it. And then you take that moving dog and drop it into the context of your primary animation, and it goes from, let's say, off the stage left to onto the stage. And it would continue to do its animation, because wherever that object is, it's designed to continue to wiggle or continue to move its tail, or etc. So I just want to know, have I been able to explain that nesting timelines fairly well to you?
I think so.
All right. So you can either have a stationary dog, or you can, within the dog itself, go into the symbol of the dog and make a motion, and then you drop that into the primary, and it will just repeat that same emotion while you move it from left to right. It'll still do that. So it's an option. It's not required. I'm just kind of giving you that as an option, or just so you understand the concept of nesting timelines. So let's now continue to look at what's available to us for we saw a list of the videos that are available there. And then here they are. And then we can now discuss. Oh yeah, that link should jump to discussion, but it goes to the playlist. So now I'm just going to jump right to the discussion board. All right, so what is user, oops, I'm on the wrong week. And I want to make sure, I did go to week 3, did I not? Yeah, I did. I went to week 3 of lynda.com, so let's see, and then, all right, we went over that. Okay, so now we're to week 3. Last week we talked about user experience. This week we talk about what is user interface. And so this one, because there's a little bit of interactivity, then we can talk about this, what the definition of user interface pertaining to animated advertisements. And then you can look up 3 resources which is interesting because this is a 200 level course and normally you just have to do one. So going above and beyond the Call of Duty here. So the user interface that takes place that's designed into your animated advertisement. So just picture your animated advertisement showing up on a website, maybe on the side panel, or perhaps on the website of your humane society, and think about it and what type of interactivity might be valuable to you. When you think about it, if you could have something going on between the animation itself and the user, what pops out to your mind of something that would be interesting in your opinion? In other words, what interactivity would you introduce to your design?
That would give users a unique experience?
In other words, if you just have the animation that you're watching, if you could introduce something that the user could do, it doesn't have to be real custom to each user, but if you had to introduce something, what might that something be?
I think the coolest thing would be that they could actually touch the ball, move the ball, and make the puppy chase it.
Wow, that's brilliant. It's interesting you should say that. Let me think. My mind instantly went to how to code that. Let's see.
Funny.
Wow, that is a brilliant suggestion, man. I wasn't being that creative. I was thinking
You weren't thinking I was thinking that advanced, were ya?
No, I was.
That was the only thing I could think of. I mean, mine's sort of really simple, and I thought, that's the only thing I could think of to where they would actually have some user interaction with it and make it memorable.
Oh yeah, I'm thinking about that, and I'm thinking, okay, what we would do? We would capture mouse movements, and we would capture the location of the mouse pointer, and know
either that or it would be touch screen.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
The mouse do touch screen where they could touch it and grab it, move it, and the dog follows wherever it goes. I've seen that done. It's kind of like games when you have a touch screen on like an iPad on a game.
Yeah. So let's see. So as I think about it, yeah, as you move the pointer or your finger around, you would dynamically know the location of that, and then you would have to programmatically set the location of that instance of the ball. By the way, when you create an object on the screen, or you bring in a graphic and you convert it into a symbol, you convert that from being you convert from just being an object to now being a symbol, which has much more information. One of which is it's aware of its location, and it's aware of its visibility, and there's several traits, properties of a symbol that are available to you when you convert it from just an object to a symbol. And its location, like I mentioned, is one of those properties. And the location is reflected by an X coordinate and a Y coordinate, and that's relative to the upper left corner of your screen. So let's say your screen was 1,500 pixels wide by, let's say 1,000 pixels high. So 0, 0 would be upper left. But then X would be across the top to the right. And so you would have if it was 1,500 wide, it would be the coordinate upper right corner would be 1,500, 0, because you've gone across from 0 all the way up to 1500 pixels. So that's the coordinate of that location. Now, if you went straight down the left side of your screen and moved your ball, let's say down there, then it would retain 0 as the x coordinate because you haven't moved left or right, just straight down. And the second coordinate would be the y coordinate, would be 1000. Now you would kind of think, well, that would be negative 1000, wouldn't it? Because we're going down. But the answer is no, because it's actually positive in both directions. To the right, positive x, down, positive y. And so actually down the lower left corner, your coordinate down there would be 0, which is the x coordinate, comma, and then 1000. So that would be 1000 y. So you went from 0 pixels all the way down to 1000, your 1000th pixel in the lower left corner. Now the lower right corner, and I'm not sure if I've lost you yet, or if you're following me, the lower right corner would have let's say it's 1500 across, 1000 high. Do you have any idea what the lower right corner would be, the coordinates of that? That's a tough question. We moved 1500 pixels to the right, and that'd be, go on.
Well, if you're going 1500 to the right and 1000 down, that would be your coordinates.
That's exactly right. Good job. 1500, 1000. That's right. Perfect. And so keep that in mind when you're designing. If we do code up interactivity on on your ball, then, and I'm not asking you to do that because frankly that's an advanced skill for like the third class. So, so you would dynamically know the location of the pointer, whether it's by your mouse or by your finger. And you would take those coordinates and you would get them from the pointer, the mouse. It's basically an event that takes place. And you capture that and you store those in the x and y coordinates of that instance of the ball. And so the ball, when you bring it out of the library and put it on your stage, it is an instance. And when it's an instance, it can then take on a name, really almost a nickname, or an alias. And the alias that I'm talking about is an alias that has to be unique among all other objects. So let's say we had 4 balls out on and that'd be funny. That's nothing that would stop you from just doing one ball. Now that I mention it, you could have all sorts of balls dropping in all over, having different behaviors possibly, and this is all over. But so let me share my my screen here for the Adobe Animate. Oh, did you see Adobe Animate on the screen now?
Yep.
Okay, good. All right, good. And so when you have an animation, we'll just go with the ActionScript 3.0. And let's say you have a ball. Going to see what colors I am here. So it's just an object right now, and when you select an object, it gives that little pattern on it, so that means the object is selected. And being an object, you can see the set of properties it has, not a whole lot of properties. The position and size it has, and a fill and stroke, and the fill is what's inside, and the stroke is what's outside. So there's the stroke. So fill and stroke. So it's actually 2 different objects. And then if you then take this and it's got a location, X and Y location, move it up there, you can see the X and Y has changed. And so forth. Let me undo that. So then if you want to create a symbol out of this, convert to symbol, I did right click on that, convert to symbol, it instantly says, what do you want to call this symbol in your library? Well, we're going to call it a ball, and it's going to be a type movie clip. These are the three different types of symbols. One's a movie clip, and one's a button. And the movie clip is the thing that has its own timeline associated with it, kind of like a life within a life. The button, it's a separate type of timeline with different states. The states of the button, mousing over, mousing on, mousing off, click, and so on. And then we have also a type of convert symbol of a graphic. So this here being registration. So we'll go ahead and click OK. Now this creates it in our library. So look here now, that which was an object a moment ago now is a symbol. And you can see it now has several more properties associated with it because it's become a symbol. If you look in our library, you'll see there it is. That's a little movie clip icon. So now what used to be just an object on our screen has now become a symbol in the library. But not only that, and I mentioned this last week, it now is an instance of that symbol. So here, being an instance of ball, this ball here is really a symbol that it's talking about. So this is an instance of ball. And we could bring out other instances of the ball. And so that's the second instance. And so on. Every instance is really a different instance of that same ball. So frankly, if you double click on these, you get into an edit mode of the ball itself. And see this timeline right here? This timeline actually is the timeline within the timeline. So this is the timeline associated with this ball. And technically we are editing the symbol that each of these is an instance of. So it looks like we're just editing this one instance, but in reality, if we change this to green, we change each of them to green because we are editing the symbol. So it's kind of like editing the parent. So the parent is sitting here, but when you double click on it, you go into an edit mode of that parent of the symbol itself. And if you change the color of the symbol, it affects everybody because the symbol is what basically these are an instance of. So so the quality of the color is actually associated with the symbol rather than the instance itself. Instances can have their own name. And see right now we're actually in edit mode. So let's come out of edit mode. And so now this is an instance, and there you can see instance name. We can name this one like ball 1, and this one we can name ball 2, this one name ball 3. Now each of these instances will be able to move independently and have their own movement. They are related to each other because technically they're all versions and instances of the same parent. So so that's what I want to show you about the properties associated with a symbol. You can see we have position size, we have 3D position of view, the color effect, and this is where you can actually get away from, by using the tent here, you can actually create a different color instance, but what it is it really is overriding the color of its parent symbol. So that's how you would do that. So that would take place there. And each of these are the different things that can be animated and be different for the instance. So by us changing any of these, we aren't tampering with the attributes of the symbol itself. These are actually the properties of the instance of that symbol. And because they're properties of the instance, they get to have their own values of all of these. It's kind of like a family, and the parents have children. And so these are like different instances or kind of like copies of the parents. And they, because they are independent, they get to have all their own traits. They have their own location, they have their own rotation, or position and view, and their own color effect, whether or not it's displayed. So all of these are properties that are associated with the instance and not with the symbol itself, meaning it gets its own name. Just like each child can have its own name, each child can have its own height, its own color of hair, color of its own. Same thing with an instance. An instance gets to have it's all custom settings, and they all are associated with that instance. So yes, it's a symbol. And this all, because it's a symbol, it gets to have all this extra additional information than a moment ago when it was just an object on the screen. So that was the one thing I wanted to explain about the objects on the screen and the interactivity. We were talking about that in the different things you can do with an animated advertisement. The interactivity can take place also separately. So, so here, the user experience is last week, the user interface this week. So user experience is kind of a more general concept. It's higher level. It takes in the whole aspect, as we read last week, the whole aspect of the entire experience, whereas user interface gets down to the layer between what you've created and the individual who's using it. All right, so any questions on the discussion?
No, I'm good.
Okay. All right, so now animating the project. So let's talk about this and the requirements for this animation. So when you do this animation, there is various aspects that you need to keep in mind. Again, you don't have to be held directly to your original design. If you get some more ideas, or if some of your original ideas don't seem to work or are a little bit more difficult than you thought, feel free to adjust them. Make sure you kind of check with me if it's a major adjustment. If it's fairly minor, it'll be fine. Yeah, people usually evolve their animation and get some ideas, and so that would be fine. Then down here, we want to go over, so animate your project per your storyboard. Then, so this final aspect, we're dealing with an ActionScript 3.0. That's the one that the videos are about. Well, that's the one that's dependent upon a Flash player. When we publish ActionScript 3.0 document, it creates that Swift file, which is different than HTML5. So here, so you can animate it and then convert it to the HTML5 Canvas document for the final phase next week. And that output is different, and that is HTML5 or JavaScript. Or you can take your objects that you currently have, and you can actually import them into a different project. And that would be an HTML5 Canvas document. So right here, we have regular ActionScript 3, but if you want, you can create a new project file with HTML5 Canvas. You can bring the animation of the other one into this. I think the videos explain that in detail. How you can go from this file into an HTML5 canvas. You might ask, what's the motivation to do that? Well, it does give you some experience because right now there's a lot of Adobe Flash Professional projects out there that are in the process of being worked into HTML5 canvas format. So that would give you that experience. So, but this is important to note that if you begin animating and then decide to next week change from ActionScript 3 to HTML5, then if you have any kind of interactivity and scripting, you'll have to convert that to JavaScript. It's very similar, but not identical. The ActionScript coding versus the JavaScript coding. Okay, so that's that. So we don't have to make this decision just yet. We can keep going with just having your ActionScript 3 document. That's fine. And then just wait till next week to do any conversion to HTML5 Canvas. We do want you to have the experience of doing HTML5 Canvas just because things are going away for the Flash player. And so, do you have any questions at this time about the assignment?
No, my thing will just be transferring it from one to the other.
Yeah, we can wait to do that next week or even do it this week if you'd like. That's pretty straightforward. Well, it's time for us to take a break. Let's take a 5-minute break, and we'll see you in 5 minutes, okay?
Sounds good.
Well, welcome back. I got a rundown of my son who's playing a baseball. He's in the playoffs of the baseball Little League, and he's in 2 games tonight. And so I got a little carried away getting the rundown of how well he's doing in the second. The first game didn't go too well for the team, but the second game is going much better. So I was pretty excited about that.
Awesome.
Okay, so let's work on this let's work on the assignment, and let me undo some of this. So how much of the, in fact, one thing I could do is get your, is it okay if we got your project file and looked at that here on the screen?
That's fine.
All right, so what do you see on the screen?
My file.
Okay, good. So various, there's a tween, a couple of tweens, and see your background is here, various lowest level there, stays on the screen for the entire until this frame, and then you jump into, I forget what number scene that is, but this scene where this shows up. Then you go a little further, and you have the paw prints. Very good. You're doing great. Ends there, and then jumps into the next one. So the background isn't needed. Oh, we already lost the background. We have just a small logo. We don't need the small logo there. There's a chance you could continue the life of that small logo into this, but it's down there in the lower left. Let's see. Yeah, it's so awesome. Got that splash screen, and then jump right to that. We have contact info and the logo. That's great. Wow, I'm just really impressed. I'm just curious, how many hours did it take to get to this point?
We had worked on just the general layout of the layers and that the other night, and the layout of the keyframes last week, and then it probably took me a couple hours to lay out the different layers with the images, and then what took the longest was trying to get the animation actually right, to get them to move on and move off. That probably took the longest. And then trying to figure out how to get the images not to all show up at the very beginning, because I had them all placed at the very beginning versus clicking on the actual keyframe where it starts and putting it in there.
Yeah, you've got this one figured out because they're all blank right there. Blank.
Yeah, it took me a while to figure that out.
Yeah, this is kind of like the filler that Adobe Animate will put in there on that layer while you don't have any objects on it. And there the object begins.
Yeah.
Good. So if we turn everything off except the background, there's the background for you. That's fine. Click on an object and it highlights the layer that it's on. There's the small logo, and it just stays there. How did you decide about the size of that? What was what thought did you put into how big that was?
You don't want it to be a main focal point. So I just went in and, when I brought the image in, it was monstrous. So I had to downsize it. And I just thought that image seemed to be the right size to where it's not overpowering, but you still recognize that it's there.
Right. Yeah. So there's the animation ball, and you have it going to different speeds. It's fine. It just goes so far there, and then a slightly different animation.
See, and with that one there, what I'd like to do is where it stops at the very end on the right side is to have it hang out there for a few frames until the dog that is standing comes in. Which I don't think I put him on there now that I think about it.
Dog? I've seen the dog.
I think I missed putting him in there because I couldn't get it. Well, maybe not. I don't know. I don't remember.
There he is.
Nope, that's not standing. That was him crouching.
The standing dog. Okay.
Yeah, I don't have him in there as standing. It doesn't look like. My other thing was timing. I had an issue to where the dog was on top of the ball, so I had to slow things down for a little bit. And so a lot of mine is just little tweaks I'm going to have to fix to get, the ball to stay on for when the dog stands, the, dog to not be right up on top of it, Just some timing issues I think are a big, big problem.
Yeah. Okay, so Dog crunching the bark bark text. Saw that coming.
You know, again, that's probably a timing thing with it going down and up that way. You're quiet. I don't know whether that's a good or bad thing.
I'm trying to figure out the animation where this one or the other one appears in area for two.
Well, I wanted one to pop up and then another one to pop up, like there was a pause in between. I don't know whether I did that right or not there.
Mark. Yeah, I'm just kind of curious where, because I would have thought it would be like bark, bark, and then they wouldn't move.
No, they're not supposed to move. You're right with what you're thinking.
Okay.
I don't know
All right.
how that happened, but it happened.
No, it's all good. I mean, the fact is you're pretty much done with this week's assignment. So.
Like I said, there's a lot of little things, like the ball disappears at the end of the one thing. I would like for it to stop there. Once the bark happens, it'll stop there, and then that's when that will come into where the dog is standing to play. But right now I have it to where it just goes off scene. So there's a lot of little tweaks that just need to be done at this point.
Yeah, it's okay. So the dog disappears there, and then
Yeah. And this is where the dog's standing. I miss putting the dog standing in there.
Yeah, it's all right. You can tell it's just right there. The empty.
Yeah, I just miss putting him in. Now, mind you, I was doing this at like 11, 12 o'clock at night too, so.
I'm impressed. By the way, this Zoom kind of helps. I don't know if you've noticed it, but
Oh, that's handy.
zoom in, zoom out.
That would have been easy to know to where you could see where stuff was.
Yeah.
Oh. Well then.
Yeah. So there that goes. And then you probably saw this better yet.
Oh, nope. I didn't see it until now.
Okay.
I see it now.
So you need your help. The Foster graphic. It's good. Let's go right to it. That's so true. A life-saving experience for them, a life-changing experience for you. Did you think that you would be adding an audio track? I can't remember.
I thought I would. A lot depends on time at this point, but I thought I would.
See, large logo, good. Contact info. Great. Nice. It's awesome. It just is really, I like it a lot.
And like you were talking about with the nestling layers with the ball that comes in, oh, you have it turned off. That might be why we're not seeing it. Is to get it to rotate and look like it's rolling.
I'm glad you thought that, because that's...
I did think that.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So if I double click on it, a single click means I'm going to touch it in the context of this, scene. So a single click means I've just selected the instance in the context of this screen. But when you double click it, it dives into the editing of just that thing because it's a symbol. So watch, I'll double click and watch up here. Double click, and now I go into the symbol itself. So I'm really I've left the room of the scene one, kind of gone into a deeper room within the house of the primary animation. So now you come into a room and you're just focused you have your own timeline. And so in this world, in this room, we can set up our own little animation. And then it's associated with this ball. And then when we leave this room and come out of the symbol, editing the symbol, we leave it as a rotating ball. And now it's not just a ball that sits there and moves around. Now it's a rotating ball. And that's what that means about nested timelines. So let me zoom in. So we're in this ball, and so in this world, it needs to be a symbol inside this rolling ball. So I'm going to go get my battery up. I'm going to need to plug in. So in this world, it has to be a symbol. Out in the other world, it's a symbol already, but now because this thing itself has to be tweened in this world, in this room, in this scope, it too has to become a symbol here. So because we are animating the symbol within this ball animation, and when we come out, it will be a turning ball. But we don't need to worry about going left to right, because that motion is taken care of out at scene one. We are just focused, we're drilled into the ball, and now we have to pretend like we're in our own world. And it's kind of like with the Earth, and we're spinning, the Earth is spinning, but you and I don't know it because we walk around here on the Earth. But in the context of things, when you take the solar system, you've got a spinning Earth that's going around the sun. So the sun, or the Earth itself, has its own animation going on. And in the context of the bigger scope of things, that spinning Earth is going around the sun. Likewise, the moon itself, drill into the moon, it's got its own little rotation going on. Plus, you have an animation of it going around the Earth. And so that would compound. We would have the rotating moon, and then we would bring that into an animation of the Earth that's turning. But while it's turning, we also have the moon going around it within that realm. And then you take the two of those and you drop them into the context of the solar system animation, and you've got all these things going on. The Earth, the moon will be rotating and revolving around the Earth. The Earth will be rotating itself. And then in the context of the higher thing, you have it going around. So that's what it means, nested timelines. So the moon has its own little timeline. The animation of the moon going around the Earth and the Earth rotating probably would be both of those at the same timeline. Take that and you move it into the context of the solar system timeline. And you see what I'm saying, how that works?
It's basically like a story within a story.
It's exactly right. So now we're drilled in, and so in this story, we need to have this rotate. That's all we needed to do. So, how long does it take to do a full rotation? So insert a keyframe and create a classic tween, and then here in Scrub here at the beginning, and then over here you have properties of the animation, and all we're interested in doing is getting it to rotate. And we keep all this the same frame rate, pixels. We got that all current. That's good. And so in this context of this animation, we want it to do its own rotating. So these are other things it could do. It could change its, here in frame 1, we could have it be a certain way, and then on frame 40, it could be a different way. So but we're not interested in it going through any of the tweens of its brightness or its 10 or any of that. We're just interested in the rotation. All right, so the part that I wanted to explain is that the tween animations, as you well know, there are different types of tweens. And if we create one, and here, for example, let me just create one. I'll show you those options again. And insert a keyframe and convert this. So you have options of creating classic tweens. You have options of creating motion tweens, shape tweens, depending on, there's no objects yet on this. So let me I'll back this out here in a second, but let me just show you. We put an object on the screen, and then it's not yet a symbol. We'll convert it to a symbol because it needs all that information. That's fine. So now it's an instance of a symbol. And the symbol is now in our library here. You can see it, and this is an instance of that. So with this being a symbol, and so you can see the black dot now there. That means there's something here. And so this object is now on this layer. And now with these frames, you do a right click, you can see you can create a motion tween or a classic tween. And this is what you want to do with a rotation. Here's why. The motion tween has properties. Just as the symbol has its own properties, the motion tween itself is also something that has properties. And so if I create a motion tween, then if you look at the properties here, you can see now that what's selected is you see it went from I was pointing to this one, now it created the motion tween. You can see that little symbol there. And so this is a motion tween. And because it's selected, its properties are shown here. And this is what I want to show you right here. See that? Rotate.
Ooh, I like that.
And so if you have created a motion tween, one of the properties of a motion tween is the rotation property. And so given that it's a motion tween, we would be able to specify exactly how many times we want our object that's being tweened here to rotate in the time it goes from the beginning of the tween to the end, to this end of the tween. So if we said rotate 2 times, what that means is during about the first half, it will have rotated 1 full rotation. And then during the second half, it would rotate the second rotation. If we specified 3 here, it would about 1/3 of the time, it will have rotated once, about there. It rotated once. Then the second third of the time, it rotates a second time, and then it rotates a third. So as you can see, you can create a faster rotation just by the number of times you want this rotated from the beginning to the end of the motion tween. Now, you won't find these same properties on other types of tweens, so that's why you need to create a motion tween if you want to get to this rotation. So the tween and the animation that's associated with your ball will need to be a motion tween. So right here, let me back this out. By the way, while I'm at it, let me go back to, because I selected off of that tween, it's now showing me something else. So let me select back on there. So I want to select back onto that motion tween. Now that it's selected, it says, yes, you're now selected a motion tween. And so besides rotation, it can also, during its motion, it can also be eased, the easing of it, and also the path. So those are just other things that can be tweened during, and sometimes you can even do, you can even do combinations of these. You don't have to just choose one. You can have, like, all three of these tweens could be going on this motion tween, and so that's just something to know. Okay, let me back this out, and let's select our ball layer here, and select our tween here. And you can see that this is the tween. It's currently selected. It's not, these were all grayed out. So this is not a motion tween right here. So we would need to have it be a motion tween in order to make it a, well, there we go. I was selecting that, and I thought, well, I better just make sure. And so I selected the tween itself, and sure enough, it is motion tween right there. So given that, you're all set. So the motion tween, so all we have to do is specify a certain number of times, let's say 5, and let's see if we can get this to work. There we go, it's starting to turn. Click on
the other thing to point out too is, if you want to know that it's a motion tween, if you look at the name of the layer, it has the little motion looking thing versus the actual paper.
Yeah, good point. Okay. Yeah, so now this is a classic tween, and that's become the motion tween. So let's do this. Let's say 15. It's funny, it's kind of, yeah, you'll get to play with that. Yeah, see the motion tween kind of keeps rotating, and so maybe what you can do is have the rotation. I think you have it slow down, and I think this is slowing down right here.
Well, I slowed it down because I didn't want it to roll all the way off the page.
Yeah.
And so I slowed it down so it wasn't going, like, so the dog wouldn't be, it wouldn't be off the page, and the dog would still be there, and the ball would be gone. So I had slowed it down, but I mean, that can change anyway.
Right. .4 frames per second. Yeah, the slowing down, we'll need to slow down the rotation. You may have to.
Well, by that point, it should stop at the very end. It should stop rotating, and it should stop moving temporarily, and then it'll go off screen. later on. Or like we were talking before to make it go all the way off screen. But, I mean, that'll be something to have to play with.
Yeah.
And I think with the, yeah. There was the problem, you get the dog right up on top of it.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, so yeah, I see he slows down too.
Yeah, that's just because he was right up on top of it.
Yeah.
So, and that's just a timing thing, I think, to where I got to get it to where it's not right on top of each other.
All right. By the way, I don't know if you know this, you may, but this tween, if you get it selected, you see there's a little, at a certain point, the mouse has that little arc on it.
Yeah, that's so you can move it.
Yeah. Yeah, you've already played around with that.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, I was thinking about what it might be like if you could have it bounce or something.
That's an idea.
Oops.
And that might be an idea when the dog comes in to pounce, is it bounces up and goes off screen. Like we can get it to where he's standing up and then you see him down, you see the ball bounce up and go off screen.
Yeah, that's an interesting idea.
Because then you would be able to get the tween from going from him being down to being up. And then a tween again to where he goes down and the ball goes up or something.
Seems like it's a little bit of slow motion. Boom. Yeah, I guess, let's see. How would that go faster? We've got our frames per second. We have that all set up.
There's a lot of little tweaking that needs done, I think.
Yeah, I'm trying to think on the ball itself to make it move faster. 24 frames per second, and that's doing that. Yeah, going to keep the frames per second the same rate.
What's under the advanced settings for property? Right above stage where it's white?
This one?
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Let's see. If we make it go faster. These are actually document settings. So let me select the, yeah, those were document settings. And that the frame setting was a document level setting. Frames per second was a document level setting. It's not pertinent to the motion tween itself because I had just selected the document, and that's why we're seeing that. If we select here and the stage or off the stage, then we see the document is what's selected now, and these are the traits of the document, and one of which is the frames per second.
Got ya.
So got got 24 frames per second, and bounce. I'm thinking about the speed of the bounce. That'd be kind of interesting to, on a bounce, have the animation as it hits the ground and it starts shooting up and then it slows down and then comes back down, speeds up again, hits. But anyways, rolling is fine. We'll just leave it at rolling. But
now who's getting all high tech?
Yeah. Now you get how how it works with the rotation. You have to select.
Yeah, now I can rotate it, which is good.
Yeah, the tween itself will allow you to access the rotate property, and then that way you can do the rotation here. Okay. All right.
The animation with this, and then I think tweak a few things if that's okay.
Awesome. Perfect.
So let's go. That has both of them. That has one. All right, so what we were needing to do was rotate that, which you had showed before, where you click this and you make it into a symbol, right?
Yep. You can call it a ball,
Okay. And then let's move that. We go into there.
Now the ball was already a symbol, wasn't it?
I don't know.
Why don't you undo what you just did? Let's see. Did you?
No, it was a graphic.
Okay. Now normally you can't animate something unless it's a symbol. So
hang on. Let's go into here. Nope, it's a graphic. Because that's a symbol. I don't know what that symbol is, but
yeah, is that the one you just created?
I don't think so.
Maybe it was delete, or maybe it was symbol 1.
So
then, what's the thing that's? Can you click on the tween?
it was just a motion tween.
So why don't you choose your tools up there, upper left, and then click the selection tool, and then go down and click on the pink tween down there along the graph right there. Click on that.
Okay.
So
Just a motion tween.
that's a motion tween. Now, why don't you go ahead and press play, and because motion tweens are being applied to a symbol. Let's see.
I mean, I had just put the dog crouching and this as a motion tween. Those two are the only ones. Because he's not a symbol either. He's a graphic.
Okay.
Did I just break the internet doing this?
Well, it's kind of strange. Don't you double click on the dog? Guess what? He's a graphic symbol.
Okay.
Double click. And that is a graphic symbol.
But I never changed him to a symbol. Did it automatically do it when I put a motion tween on it?
Well, you probably went to do the motion tween, and it came up with a little message that says, "Hey, you can't do a motion tween to something just that's an object. Do you want to make this a symbol?"
And I probably said, sure, not even realizing it.
Yes. And so you ended up creating an instance of a graphic symbol.
Huh.
So when you look in your library, the ball.ai, that is a graphic symbol, and then the dog.ai is a graphic symbol. Now, when you imported that ball from your Adobe Illustrator file, did you say import to stage or did you say import to library?
The library.
Okay. So I want you to kind of go through this experience just a little bit, just for a little bit of education. So why don't you import that AI file again, or bring in another AI file, or start new? I just kind of want you to kind of experience this. You can back up if you want after we've done this. Looks like the paw print is also something that's been imported.
What do you want?
Anything.
Anything. All right,
Yeah.
let's see. Let's make it fun. Well, we'll do that. We'll do that one. There we go. Open. You know, I wonder if there's something going on with my computer. And then this pops up.
Got it.
Can I hit import?
Layers.
And that comes up here. And then from here, I just drag it onto here. Like if I want to put it over there. Ooh, that's little. There we go. Now you can see it. And then from here, I went, hang on. How do I get out of this?
Yeah, you currently are in it. So upper
Right.
left above the stage, you see it says down. Sorry, where it says
Here.
Scene 1, and then
There we go. Oh, I put that in with the ball, didn't I? Now I did it. What did I do?
See that little arrow to the left of Scene 1?
Yeah. From there.
Do a Command Z several times.
There we go.
And then go reset your stage.
There we go. All right, there we go. So then I'd go in, I'd go here, and I gotta pull that back in, so. Hang on. Why is that not showing up? That's why. No? All right.
Well, let's create a new layer.
Pull it on there.
Got it.
There we go. Okay. So what I would do is I'd put it here. And I go, all right, from here to, oh, that put it all through the big one. That's all right. And I'd go here. And I said, create motion tween, and then I'd pull it from here to there. Hang on. That's what I did.
Yeah. Scroll to the end.
There you go. And I did from there to there. And that was all I did. And then I push play and it would come across. I never went in one way and put it a symbol. I mean, unless that's what that one screen was.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's cancel this back up. Actually, I kind of like that, but
It's fun, isn't it?
Let's see. Can you back up one more time? Back this all out if you want. Command Z as long as you want, and then do that import one more time. I want to show you the dialog. Go ahead, select. Oh, you. First of all, why don't you create a new layer?
Okay.
And try that import again, and
Pick something else now.
no, yeah, whatever. Anyone, doesn't matter. I just want to have you look at the options. Okay, slow down. So select the center board, and then select all layers, and convert layers to animate layers. Right there, that option, convert layers to animate layers, is an option that, hey, we're bringing this in, and we need for this to be animatable, and to be animatable, it needs to be a symbol. Therefore, we're going to go ahead and this thing is going to come in as a symbol. It's going to be a graphic symbol. So that's,
It automatically does it.
yeah, it's just going to see do the check or down, click the down arrow, drop down on animate layers, and you can see animate layers, single animate layer, and then keyframes. Those options are basically saying whether or not we want this as a symbol. And so so this is going to be coming in as a graphic symbol, and then the thing that's on the stage is actually an instance of that symbol. So go ahead, click cancel, and let's go, just click on your tennis ball just for a second, and then click on properties, upper right, and so graphic, and so click on that drop down where it says graphic up there, and so you can see already it's selected graphic, and the other type of symbols are movie clip and button. And so the graphic is the one that's been selected. So this is a graphic symbol. Okay, keep going. And now it says instance of ball.ai. Now, when it says instance of, what that means is this is a copy of something else, and the something else is sitting in your library. So the thing in the library is ball.ai. And it has to be, in order to be an instance, it has to be an instance of a symbol.
Gotcha.
And so, so when we import it to our library, into our stage, we killed two birds with one stone. Or actually, probably three birds with one stone. Number one, it put it in the library as a symbol, and number two, it put it on our stage as an instance of that symbol.
Okay.
So
it automatically did it for us.
Yep, created the
that makes it easy for me then.
symbol. Yeah, created the symbol in the library, and then also put the symbol or the instance of that symbol there. So I'll open up the color effect and looping. Now click the color effect, the drop down of that. Now you can see I have none, brightness, tint, advanced, and alpha. Now the tint is a way to override the color of the symbol.
Right.
The symbol has its own color, and yet we can override it with the tint. And so that's per instance. So even though the ball might come from the same symbol, it can have its own tint.
Yeah, it's like a duplicate of it that it looks similar, acts similar, but is a variety of different.
Yeah, it's kind of like the color of the parent is, let's say, red, and um, it can be a different color.
Right, you got one parent that's red, another parent that's blue.
Well, actually, the symbol is its parent, so the symbol, the instance in the library, will have its color. And every time we edit the symbol itself, in fact, when you double click on this, double click on that, and now you're editing the color itself. And if you click on your palette, now you got a group selected.
You said, oh, on this.
Yeah, so click the properties. Let's see. I want to see what it thinks you've got selected right now. It thinks you got a group selected. So
is it because that AI file is grouped together? It has different.
Click away on the stage, off the stage. Click someplace else. Now do just a single click on it, and it's probably got the same thing, group.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see. If you see it being a graphic symbol, and you did a double click on that, correct?
You said single. There's a double click.
Okay.
This turns blue when I double clicked it.
Yeah.
And that's where you can change the stroke and the fill and whatever that is. And that made that a drawing object then.
So that's the thing that's currently selected, is a group of drawing objects. And I think that how we imported this into when we did the import, we said convert these to animated layers. I think that's exactly what we're kind of experiencing here.
Yeah, but you did the same thing when you brought it in. It was already on the page though.
When I did it?
Yeah, when you made it where it rotated.
Yeah.
Because it was already on the page, and the way I did it is the same way that you had that file.
Yeah, and so when you do the motion, let's now go back up to scene 1, and let's go click on the. If you want, you can delete layer 2 because that was that layer that we were importing things into, and now let's. Is that a motion tween there? I think that's what you said. So now,
it's a motion tween.
Click on the properties, and now it's currently we're selected on the stage or just off the stage. So let's try that one more time.
Click this or click that.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Properties. Okay, there's a rotation. So if you want it, go ahead and once you experiment with that, the rotation. Let's get that right.
Let's just see. Oh, that's really fast. It's really going. No, you gotta click that. Still pretty fast. You know, might need to be done.
What's that?
Is let me go into here real quick. Modify something real quick. Because it has that shadow, that's why it looks like it's kind of lopsided.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so hang on just a second. Get rid of that real quick. Go in here. And then you can't relink that, can you?
You can change. You can swap the symbol that it's an instance of, but
I got to bring a new one in. It's the only downside to that.
also
See,
that shadow. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I see that little shadow in there.
Yeah. It's too bad you can't just update the link if you make a change to it. Instead of bringing a new one in.
When you say update the link, what does that mean?
Well, if you put it into your library, hang on.
Oh, you want to edit it?
Just update it. Like, I know in some places you can update it.
With Adobe Illustrator?
Yeah. There we go. There we go.
Is that what you want?
Yeah. Because then if we bring this back and play it, now it actually rolls like a ball.
Mm-hmm.
Without so much of that. That still seems pretty fast. That's better. Now, that's not too bad. Okay. So we got that fixed where it rotates now. And according to, I don't want to illustrate. According to our assignment, we just have to animate it.
Yep. So
and then change it over to an HTML5. Now, how do you go about doing that once you animate it?
Well, right now this is ActionScript 3.0 project
Right.
file, and so what we'll do is we'll create a HTML5 canvas project file, a separate project file, and then we will merge the stuff from
one to the other.
Yeah, and then paste it in the other.
Gotcha. So, have I met the requirements for the assignment then?
Yeah, if you've fulfilled all the animations that we're going to do.
There was one that I missed, wasn't there? Oh, yeah, there was one that I missed. And that was the dog standing.
Yep.
But how do I guess the next question is, with this ball right here, if it continues playing, it eventually, like the dog disappeared, and that eventually disappears. What if I wanted it, well, somehow there's a big gap in between this two, between the, where I want that ball to stop right there. And then when the dog crouching disappears, which is, why is that so big? How did you get that so small? Here? No. Remember how you used to have to where you could see all of it as mine just because it's so long?
Yeah.
Okay. So.
I remember I could see pretty much the entire animation.
Right. So if the dog stops crouching there, I would need him standing there to start there. But I need the ball to stop here and stay there. Which is right, I have it right here. I just don't have the dog in there.
Yeah, do you want to have the dog standing?
Yeah, like right here. But that ball still needs to stay there for a minute, and then when he continues standing, what'll happen is then we'll shoot the ball off the stage, and the dog will disappear, and you'll have the dog crouching again.
Mm-hmm. So do you want to bring in the dog, standing dog?
Yeah, I gotta pull him off of.
I think you might need to move, either extend the life of the crouching dog or begin the life of the standing dog a frame sooner
Than what it is?
Yeah, like because there's a missing frame right where your scrub bar is. It appears like there's going to be a frame where there's going to be no dog, or actually 4 frames.
Right here?
Yeah, those 4 frames because dog crouching ends at frame number 417, and standing dog doesn't start until 420.
Right.
So
I think he was supposed to stop here.
not only will he stop, but he'll vanish right there too.
Right.
And then there'll be no dog on the screen.
And all of a sudden, the dog will just appear.
Yeah, standing dog will appear.
Okay.
So you're probably thinking in your mind, how do I get from a crouching dog to a standing dog? And that's
right. And we had talked about that.
Yeah.
On what we were going to do. If we were just going to do like a tween and cut away, or have him go off stage and come back.
Yep. And there's it's not a bad thing. You weren't really sure exactly what direction you were going to go back when you designed it. So, and I had already said that, hey, it might be okay to just go from one frame, he's crouching, and the very next frame, he's standing.
Yeah.
So I see that you've got have you looked at that as an option?
Well, sorry. I just took a bite of cookie when you asked.
No, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Wasn't that what we just talked about? About just doing like a tween where he goes from crouching to standing? Or would it look more appeasing to the eye and to the senses for him to go off screen and then it come up to where he's standing? I don't know.
It sounds like the idea of him crouching and stopping right in the middle of the stage, and then the very next frame, instantly he's standing.
He's standing.
It sounds like that is an option
That's bet.
not interesting to you. Am I reading you? Prep? Are you steering away from?
No. I'm just trying to think what's going to look best.
Have you seen that happen yet?
No.
All right, let's give that a try. Let's just see what we think.
So what we're going to do here, can I move that instance to there?
Select
this, and this, and this.
Yeah, and you can. I think those two other keyframes.
These two?
Yeah, those two. Why don't you remove those, and let's just see if we can extend the remove that, and then see if you can just extend that till right to one more to there.
Okay.
Now let's just, and then you got to bring in the standing dog.
And I got to remove that one. Okay. And then...
Actually, you probably could have kept that there, because I think that it'll stay crouching, and then the next frame it'll begin.
That'll be where he begins. Okay, let me...
Bring in...
Yeah.
Bring on standing dog.
Standing dog. Now, what did I make him in? I made him in, I think, Illustrator. No, not in Illustrator. I made it in the other one. I can never remember which file it's in. All right, not in that one either. Third time's the charm.
You're looking for standing dog?
Yeah, I don't have him in my thing, I don't think.
Well, I think I saw him in the library. Go check it one more time just for
fun.
Maybe it was something else. But can you look in your library for me?
Yep.
Oh, I was confused. I thought it was
That's okay.
paw prints is what I was saying.
I found him though. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do this. We're gonna go into here. File new. Okay. Paste him in there. Ungroup him. that. By the way, I love Illustrator files. I have not found anything that I enjoy more than Illustrator files.
Do you have a website where you like to get some AI files from?
I actually, there's a couple sites that I go and get some AI files from, but for the most part, I just get clip art and I make them AI files myself by doing the image trace.
Right.
And then I will go in and I will clean up the image trace or change whatever colors, or if something's not complete, like there was another clip art ahead of, like in front of it, then I'll go in and I'll clean up and duplicate and make it original. But I do it that way. All right. Now that's saying that that is empty, right?
Right.
So then we'll go in here, and here, and here. There, and there. Okay. And go from here to there. And there. What do you think? Does he look about the same size or littler?
Well, take your red scrub thing and scrub one to the left. Grab that, yeah. That's really not bad, frankly.
No, it's not.
Yeah,
That's not bad at all.
it's very acceptable to me, personally.
I think he needs to be a little bit bigger. Just a little bit. All right, let's see. Let's play the whole thing. Oh, that looks really fast up there. Hang on, we're going to this. There we go. Dude. Funny thing is, the dog looks like he's like sneaking in. Doo-doo. Doo-doo. See, that bark is supposed to come up when the dog stops. Like when he stops here and jumps up, the bark is supposed to stop when he stops.
Mm-hmm.
And somehow I'm missing between the frame and the we need your help. Back here. Somehow I missed all of this here.
Yeah, I see that.
I don't know how I did that.
Is it just like empty space in your animation?
Yeah, there's just an empty space there. Like I messed up my timing somewhere.
So if you want, you can just do a vertical selection of all the wherever your empty space is.
It's basically from here to here.
Yeah, try to vertically select all of the layers in a given cell. Yeah, just go vertically, grab it and go straight down. Do a right click on that. I'm not sure if that's going to work, but try it.
Nope, that just went away.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to do it, but when you do a right click. So
yeah, I right click, it won't do anything.
Rather than selecting that whole block like that, and is it letting the selection go down to the layer below or no?
Yeah, it selects all of that.
Just stops right there.
Oh, there we go.
Okay, remove frames. Let's see how we do.
All right. Yeah, that bark comes in way too soon. Well, the background stayed. So that'll need fixed now.
Okay.
So the background, this part from here to here needs removed. Well, where'd the rest of it go? See, now what? How did that? Now they're spacing somewhere else wrong. Do you see it?
Yeah, can you move your layers, that bar that just shows all your layers in your timeline? If you move it down, we can see more layers.
Maybe this here?
Separator. Yep. So what is it that we just experienced that you're concerned about?
Hang on, let me find it. Here to here, we got that big space again, from here to here. See, there's nothing there except that small logo. Even the small logo's not there.
Well, it's because...
Well, from there it is.
Yeah. When you
Here
select...
to here.
Okay, so do I just delete those frames? Now, did you mean to do that because...
Yes. There we go. But then we got more here too.
All right, I was going to say, if you'd selected all three, I think all three layers, I think you would have moved all three of the layers to the left.
There we go.
So that's the spot. That created a little bit of a gap in the next one, though.
Here.
Yeah, right there.
So little.
That looks good.
Wait, from there to there, which is good. To there. There we go.
Nice.
That's better. Now, this here, these are too early, I think. And then they move, too.
You can remove the tween.
But these are supposed to show up later. So when I put that second bark in there, did that create this one here then? This frame here?
The other one from living. It's on the same line, and so...
Because there it removes it. The second one.
Okay.
See, that one's there, and then that one's there, and then at the end it removes the one.
All right, so...
But they're too early. I think they need to be... Like when the dog stops here.
Can you go back on that line and then just click the eye for hiding the whole line? Or scrub to the right a little bit. Scrub to the right where you see both the bark. And then hide it. Okay, so both of those objects are on that layer.
Mm-hmm. But basically when the dog stops like here. Hang on. The bark should happen. So it should happen pretty quickly within like here. I think I just did it too early.
Okay.
So however long this frame is here for that bark technically should be like here. Towards the very end when the dog stops.
So if you want, you can move.
Can't you highlight it and move it?
Well,
no, that's probably what I did before.
try that because it looks like starts the object there.
Would I remove that frame then, or to clear the frames there?
Yeah, if you want to have it not start until later.
Right. Oh, hang on. Because there it starts, and there's where the other one is, and there's where they both are.
So over the left, you want to start right there, the first one, or the
Sure, I'll see where it starts there. So basically, these frames just need removed.
yeah. It'll move it to the left. So what we want to do is extend the absence of objects, and click on to the left of that. Let's see if it lets you over to the left. That's the thing that we want to extend when there's no objects on the screen. So if you want to try inserting a frame right there, just inserting just a regular frame, and that again. So you basically